Hey guys, this is Ryan with Mom on Mission, and in light of COVID-19 and some of you may be distance learning for the first time or homeschooling for the first time, and summer is upon us, so you're going to have those kiddos home more anyway. It can be very hard to figure out what to do with those in-between stages. So with the baby, they kind of have their schedule. You just try to feed them at the right time, lay them down for the right time, let them play, and you're good. Those older kids, you can kind of, give them their schedule, their things to do, and then you send them off to play, and they're pretty independent. Then you have these things called toddlers who don't like any of those ideas. They 1 minute need the nap and need the food, and then the next minute they want to be doing whatever their older siblings are doing, whether that's something they should be doing or not. And then the next thing, they just want to go throw things in a toilet, or like my son, rub foot cream all over his face and in his eyeballs while no one's looking. They're just a different breed of humans. So I am by no means the expert on this. I've gone through it 3 times, so I kind of have experience, but that doesn't mean I'm an expert because I don't have this figured out. But I will tell you a few of the things that have helped me. Not to say that my toddler sits there perfectly still while we try to get things done, because I wish that were the case, but it's not. But I'll let you know kind of some things that have helped me. Because you can't always, first of all, people will tell you, do school, do those harder things while they're sleeping. Yes, that's great, but sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes they say, I'm not sleeping. Like my toddler who woke up at 4:08 this morning and didn't go back to sleep. He went to sleep at 6:40 for a few minutes and then woke back up. So, it's just not always possible to have your schedule right on track where you can do those harder homeschool subjects or get those harder housework tasks done while they're sleeping. So when you can't, here are some things that I like to do. First of all, as much as I hate to say it, let your toddler work beside you. So unless you're doing something dangerous or something that you need complete silence for, like filming a video, or maybe your older kiddos are taking a test or something, let your toddler do what you're doing. Now, of course, in a modified way. So if you're cleaning the floors, give them a little dustpan and broom, those little Melissa and Doug tiny ones or whatever, and let them go to town. If you are working on paperwork, give them a pen and pencil and paper and let them work beside you. If you're cooking, you obviously don't want them around the dangerous things, but give them a spoon and a bowl with a few things in it, some water, a small amount of water, so if it spills, it's not the end of the world, or some beans in it, or as long as they're not going to eat them or put them up their nose, which there's no guarantee with toddlers. Give them something to do where they feel like they're helping, or they're feeling like they're a part of what's going on. And in line with that, that goes along with school. If you are homeschooling or distance learning or whatever, give them some things that are school time only things, even if you're not doing school with them. With our math curriculum, we have a ton of manipulatives. So we have those little counting bears, and we have pattern blocks that are just colored shapes. We have linking cubes that stack together. And I'll, when we're doing math, I'll throw a few of those his way and let him play. I'll give him beans. I'll give him, in some cups where he just pours and whatever else. I will give him, I'll just save things that are for school time only so that he feels like he's kind of doing school. And then he will, but be busy with these things that are not things that he gets to play with all the time. So we use I have a oatmeal container, an old oatmeal container that I have used a hole punch and punched some holes in the lid of. And I've also cut a slit in the middle of it. And I give him pipe cleaners to shove in the little holes. I also give him straws to do that with. And then I give him like old gift cards and stuff to put in that slot. And then once he fills them all up, I take it and I dump it out and let him do it all over again. And sometimes that'll keep him for 5 minutes. Sometimes it'll keep him for 45 minutes. It just depends on his mood. Again, you can't trust a toddler. We also are just now getting where he won't eat the pony beads. It's kind of sketchy sometimes, but we do the pony beads and the pipe cleaners. Or sometimes if I have them, I'll do Cheerios instead, because then if he eats them, whatever. We have special puzzles that only come out at school time. So those are ones that are not, they're put away in a closet the rest of the time. We also use those reusable, I think it's Melissa and Doug that puts them out, the reusable watercolor stuff. So it's not even real watercolor, you just add water and it changes colors. He gets to do those. We've also found, I can't always find them, but those books where the colors like at the top in those little squares and you just get it wet and transfer it down. Those make a little more mess, but they're still pretty easy to clean up. He really enjoys those. If you have an older one, mine's not quite here yet, but you can do even tracing. And the way to make that more fun is by letting them use Expo markers and a clear, either laminated sheets of paper, or that you've written, the shapes on or their name on or whatever, and then you laminate them, then give them the dry erase marker to trace on, or just use those clear sheet protectors and stick whatever paper you want in there and let them trace that. And the reason why that's special is because if you're in my house anyway, you don't get markers all the time because markers are dangerous. But if they're just for school time, then they'll think that's special and enjoy that more than just tracing a regular old sheet of paper with a pencil. If you have one of those older toddlers, we're again not quite here yet, but Play-Doh only brought out at school time is magical. They think it is the best thing ever. We tried this with my toddler for the first time the other day, and I don't know how much he ate, but it was too much. So we won't be trying that for a little bit. Another thing that we're kind of on the brink of, but I know my 3-year-olds especially loved this, is to just give them scrap paper, like maybe some construction paper that you've cut stuff out of and it's just the leftovers, just so you don't waste. You can also just use regular paper, obviously, but trying to save paper here, and let them cut, especially if you have those safety scissors, or tear if they like tearing, and just give them a glue stick and a big piece of paper and then a bunch of scrap paper that they can just tear and cut and glue just randomness all over their page. They think that's really cool. They feel like they are big kids doing that. Again, we're not quite there. I tried this and he didn't get it. He just got mad because he couldn't cut it. So, and again, just give them any of those manipulatives that you have around that you actually do use for school, but that are pretty durable, and just let them have at them, and only at school time though, and they will feel real special, and it might keep them entertained for at least a little bit. My third tip is to fill up their love tank before you have to sit down to a long task. So I mean, don't just get them up out of bed, feed them, and then expect to just be able to, for you to just run and do your thing and them to just sit quietly somewhere. I mean, some of you might have kids that do that. My toddlers don't. And so I try to get some time in the morning where I play a little bit with him, whatever it is he's playing. I read him a book or two, we'll sing songs, we'll go outside and play for a little bit. Whatever it is that kind of speaks his language that day, I spend time trying to do that with him before I have to sit down and do a big task. So it doesn't always happen first thing in the morning, because sometimes our mornings are slower or whatever. But I make sure if I know I'm gonna have a huge chunk of time where I need him to not need me, that I fill up his love tank first, and I get that one-on-one time in with him first. My fourth tip would be, it kind of goes along with the setting aside the special manipulatives or special toys, but just kind of do school with them. And I know that's not always possible to do at the same time that you're trying to teach your bigger kids. But maybe while your other kids are doing their more independent subjects where they don't really need you to teach, maybe they're working on worksheets where they just might have a question here or there, so you're pretty free. Just sit down with your toddler for 15, maybe 30 minutes and like have a learning time if they're interested in it, especially. My 2-year-old very much is. And we'll just use manipulatives or books or sometimes just a pencil and paper, and I'll draw things to work on shapes and to work on colors and to count and to sing your ABCs. Just those very basic things that, we're not really pushing right now because he's just 2. But he enjoys doing them. So occasionally we'll, a few times a week we sit down and do that kind of fun stuff. And have a school time with him, and that just makes him feel included in our day more. Step number 5 is to get those stinkers outside. I don't care, obviously if it's storming or a blizzard or -20, don't send your toddler outside maybe, but a fenced-in yard is the best thing we ever got, because I can just kind of sit near the window while we're doing school and let him out, and I just leave the screen door shut and open the regular door so I can hear him, and I'm near the window so I can see him, and I just let him go to town, and he walks around and rides his little bike things and throws balls and digs in the dirt and whatever else 2-year-olds do. And then as his brothers finish up their school, say I need to work with one of his older brothers and one of his other brothers is free, I'll send them out there and say, hey, go play with your brother, and so they'll go jump on the trampoline or whatever together. But getting my kid outside completely, all 3 of them, but especially my toddler, completely changes his mood and makes his day, and therefore my day, much better. And then the 6th thing, use the screens. I don't know. I feel like there's the camp that just doesn't really say anything and their TV's just on all day, or their kids have the tablet in the hand all day. And of course, no one really wants that. It's convenient, I understand. But then you have like these screen Nazis, and I'm not there either. But like, screens are not the enemy, but they're also not the babysitter. We know this. And so I use screen time. This is my first kid that likes TV at a young age. My other 2, they didn't really care about TV till they were about 4. But my youngest has been into TV since he was young. So we do use TV time. We try to make it at least somewhat educational. We still do Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and he likes PJ Masks and all that kind of stuff. But I use it for those times when I just really need some quiet and he's not going to nap or, whatever, or I need quiet outside of his nap time. I'll set him up in one of the bedrooms with one of his shows. Now as he gets to that 3 and maybe 4-year-old stage, but mostly 3, I will download apps on my iPad that are learning games, that he can manipulate, put the shape in the right, kind of puzzle type games. And there's nothing wrong with using those, and, use your own judgment on what the correct time limit on that is. That's up to you as the mom, but, if you just I have found in my home anyway, if you just use those screen times as a treat, and don't just have the screens on all day, they actually work more to your benefit, because then again, they have that special quality to them. And so if they know, they don't get TV most of the day, but then that 30 minutes or however long you set that they do get it, that's like sweet time for them and for you. So those are my few tips on what to do with your toddler if you're trying to get some stuff done around the house, especially during quarantine, or trying to homeschool your other kids. Let me know down below if you know any secrets, because I am all for all the toddler secrets, because my 3rd one is something else. He's something that my other 2 weren't. So I love him very much, but he is way different than his brothers, and I'll take all the help I can get. So I thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.